Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to review Constellation. So for those who are new to my channel, what I do is I do research, I feed it into a model, the model has output, and then I reflect upon the model's output over time to see if it was accurate, and then I reflect and modify the model to try to get better outputs to correlate to a higher ROI over time. This is the model and it's color coded, and the project that I have gone over is Constellation. So what problem market does this project currently solve or serve? It is a no-fee L0 environment for L1 blockchains, so it runs underneath blockchains. It is under the L1 blockchain architecture. So it works as the foundation of web3 type architecture where blockchains could run on top of it, L1s or L1 architecture. It uses cryptographically secured data sets or data. So the data that is on top of it can be protected and siloed and protected from attack in an encrypted shell. It is a DAG design versus a blockchain design. Basically, all you need to know from this, and I did a lot of research into the, like DAGs. I updated my knowledge on DAGs, and this is my take on it. It is a different data structure. I mean, it's just a different way of architecturing the blockchain data. Both are viable ways to handle the data and the action history management. I personally don't think one is better than the other in design. I might claim that DAG is more complex, but also there are some pros and cons to the complexity that DAG has, or these acyclic graph technologies. There's pros and cons to the handoffs of the design. And basically, I don't want to get into too much of the complexity about it because this is, I'm aiming for the investment side. But basically, it's still an engine. It's still a consensus engine, and it's just a different design, and it accomplishes a lot of the same things. It could be used better for different data types versus the parallelization architecture of proof of stake. So, I'm just going to go ahead and say one is not better than the other. They're both going to find markets. It is a layer 0 protocol. It's built from scratch for hosting those L1s. DAG is, it has predictable fees. So a lot of, there's other protocols that have predictable fees as well in the proof of stake architecture. This one does the same thing. So that is good. That is good for businesses. That's a needed thing. Versus like Ethereum, which doesn't have predictable fees. So you don't want to build your business on Ethereum because you want to have predictable fees. So that is one of the benefits of this architecture. And it's like a general Web3 architecture. So one way to think about the DAG token is its commodification of the utility of the protocol provided by the distributed consensus protocol. Okay, so the DAG token itself is the commodification. What does that mean? It's like the resource. It is the DAG is entitlement to the resource of the utility of the blockchain. So if this blockchain has some utility, the DAG token is entitled. If you own some percentage of the tokens, you're entitled to that percentage of the utility. You're to the resource, the commodification. It's like gold or data throughput in this case. All right, so that's just going into what is general. Now for the price action, the model expectation. So future increase in demand for the token. Model expects that to be the case. Expects future increase in demand for the token. Price FOMO. Expect that to happen at some point. Major upcoming events. The roadmap looks good. Mainnet 2.0 upgrade, which will be launched soon. It is token NFT standards and all the other capabilities, live business operations, etc. It's basically going live in that phase three of the launch, which is relatively soon. This only really helps. Like news like this only helps in a bull market, but given where we are time-wise when I'm making this video, it is coming out of a bear market. So, or we're in a bear market. We're in a harsh bear market. The global economy looks pretty terrible. But if they get these upgrades done, and it looks like they might get it within 6 months or so, that could potentially, and even if I was them, I would launch it in a bear market regardless. But regarding timelines, it will happen within the next 6 months or so of this phase 3 launch, which is deploy the complete utility, the tokens, the governance, the nodes, everything useful about this will be going live within the next 6 months, probably sooner, but it depends on when they want to do that. So that is a good timeline, in my opinion, because it's going live. It's going to have that utility. It's going to, and we'll get into some more of the benefits of them going live. All right, so as far as the social media stuff, you're not super early with that. It's not like some hidden gem where no one's aware of it. It does have a decent following in social media. Now, regarding the token design, it has a good token design. So distribution is not that important because the token is entitlement to the commodification of, like percentage of the platform. So it is good from that angle. So it doesn't really matter how it's distributed. It just matters that it has high utility and that it is thoroughly enough distributed for it to not be dependent on any point of failure. So when it launches, if it has that, it will have a good architecture. And once again, the inflation won't matter with it, regardless of whatever that is, because as a node operator, you get to have control of the protocol. And as a token holder, you get to decide the future of these things. So you'll choose the best path forward. So those things are irrelevant. The token model being good, basically what I'm saying here. ICO performance, it is done pretty good. It's the same value as its ICO. So that is, there's no risk of like big bag holders dumping on you, so that is good. It has outperformed the market in a general sense, so that is good in the long run, but it's not under any super hype stage. We are in a bear market. All the tokens are coming back, but it is up 48% over the last year, whereas the general crypto market is down 38%, so it's done roughly double what the general crypto market has done. But it's not under FOMO right now, so that's good price action-wise. It's not a super low market cap. It is 158, but that is, relatively low. It's getting low at that level, 158 million. That's pretty small. So exponential growth, I can't put that as exponential growth of utility because it's not, really live. We'll know after phase 3 how that's doing, but it does have a lot of partnerships. And, all those businesses go live and we can really start seeing the utility of it when it goes live in that phase 3 launch. So I put the niche as being, phase 3. And they have prototypes, etc. They're working with their partners now. Now, regarding liquidity depth, it doesn't have a very good liquidity depth. To move it down to percent is $6,000. It's not very high, so there's hardly any liquidity. It's got very low liquidity right now. So, in that sense, it could be considered a gem because it's got low liquidity, which means, the people who are holding it have conviction, but there is no buy pressure yet. There's no buy support yet. So that's right there. It's got very low liquidity. So that's something to consider if you are a bigger investor. Regarding the vision, they have a lot of things on their vision, but they didn't have anything really clear stated. They did have a lot of clear things, but they had too much stated in it. That was my take on it. It may be too broad in scope, but like when you're at this stage of a business, you may need pivot room, so that could be good in that sense. And they do, have a good idea of what they're doing. They're making they're making infrastructure for web3, basically. They're building this infrastructure for, the future of data management, etc. So, I just put yellow for now, neutral, because it's not specific enough, but, maybe it just, that's not that important of a factor in this. But usually it is a good thing to have a clear, specific idea of what you want to get first and accomplish first. But they already have those partnerships, so it looks like that'll finalize soon. All right, and the team is trustworthy and everything. They have current business partners with the... let me get into their partnership. Well, I'll finish their governance right now. So they are in phase 3 when they launch. Constellation there's a company called Constellation. It's a company behind this. It's the organization that's helping it. And when it does launch, node authority will be based on reputation, availability, loyalty, history, etc. The machine learning assignments of these numbers. So, I would consider this thing to move pretty rapidly. It is centralized right now. It's low decentralization, but when it goes live, when it's really launching and its nodes are running the architecture, I think it'll go pretty decentralized pretty fast. requires decentralization. Token is ultimate control. That will be the case when it's live, because node operators are proof of stake. They need to operate. You need the DAG token to operate the infrastructure. DAG utility actions, etc. And you remember, it's a commodification. It's part of ownership of the actual platform. And so not only do you need to validate the network through these nodes, but you also need it for accessing and being a what is it called, the state channel operator. So like the token is control of this network. Those who run the software are the democracy that will make decisions. It might even go to be too decentralized, because they might be difficult in the long run, because it'll be so decentralized at some point. So those are things to think about. Developer experience, all of these things, developer ideas will be good. All these, they're building it out with the Hypercube dev tools. They're building these tools for the developers so that they don't have an issue building on it. I think it will have a moat when it's live. Flywheel, network effects will be powerful on this. So Vitalik Buterin said, basically, they do have decreased latency, but they don't solve the scalability, because the availabilities of computers, if a node must process data or have redundancy of the access to the blockchain, that computer will just be the throughput determinator, no matter if it's a DAG or if it's a blockchain. And I agree within that architecture. That DAG versus blockchain, a parallelization blockchain and a DAG, they accomplish pretty much the same things. The DAG architecture is significantly different and a lot more math-based. A architecture for a traditional blockchain is just more straightforward, but it is also, I think the throughput speeds will be the same for both of them. They're both going to converge on that parallelization of processing and not having every node need to access all the information. You're going to have partitioning of the information so that you can get that throughput speeds that you want. I think that's what's happening here with blockchains, is they're all reaching the idea that you don't want every blockchain, you don't want every node running, the blocks, or here, let me do it this way, just to, get in some of the simplest way I can look at it. So this is all the nodes writing to the blockchain, right? All the computers reaching consensus. Well, in this one, it's, I don't even want to try to draw that, the DAG architecture. But in this one's design, it's the partitioning of the DAG as it runs down the data architecture will have several. I'm getting too much in the weeds here, but regarding one's more math-based, making it more complex. One is more kind of straightforward, but they will converge, in my opinion, on parallelization of throughput. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to get too complex here. Okay, so head-to-head project leaders, so that's what I just went over. And I put it kind of neutral for the competition, because it is complex. And it doesn't have a first mover advantage. There is HBAR in the other, and there is other DAGs, and there's also other blockchains that are way ahead of it as far as when they went live. For instance, there's projects that are live right now, like Polkadot, already live, already running, and it's getting that momentum of being live. But that being said, this one's got partnerships. Actually, let me get to the partnerships. Okay, so major onboard. So regarding they do have major onboards. They have the U.S. Government of Defense. That is a big deal. They're working with AWS as well. It's, at least that's written right on their website. That means that they're probably working with these teams and trying to show them the use cases of this when it can go live, and we'll see what happens there. So DAG is information bandwidth. So, but they do have that AWS, the Department of Defense, and those are pretty big partnerships. So that is one of the reasons to be more confident in this team. So they have Chainlink Quant on their website. Integrations with Chainlink and that data Oracle feeds, that could be powerful. Department of Defense threat detection architecture, JAG C2. You could see that the government was talking about this. Linking battlefield sensors for Internet of Things. So, this blockchain could be an architecture for the Internet of Things of the battlefield sensors, etc. So that is a big deal for partnerships. And that's part of the evidence that says that the team is qualified and trustworthy, in that the Department of Defense and these major people are working with them. Now, that being said, I gave the team a neutral score because they have no major wins. They don't have any billion-dollar startups, major inventions, or million customers in their history. But they do, so we'll see where they go from there. But I did put them relatively neutral as far as being like amazing A+ aces, so to speak. I just put it rather neutral. All right, network effect of this project, I have that as green. The reason I have these tokens per person down, neutral, sell side to decrease neutral, and money needed to move price up decreases as neutrals because it's not live yet, and we'll see where those things go live. All right, so I'm kind of hitting the most important things here last, interestingly enough. Usually I hit this first. Okay, so the token model. This is one of the most important two elements right here, these two things right in the middle of my model. So the token is used to operate state channels. It permits access to the network. The DAG merges data collection with transaction, digital history. So yes, that's where you'll get partitioning of the graph, the knowledge graph that is generated as it runs. Data included in the payload, so it will run through that mathematically determined partitioning payload, and it'll get that information from that. The DAG is an information bandwidth token, so the token once again is commodification. It is the access to the information bandwidth. So yes, it's a valuable token model. Token model is tied to the success of the platform. Now the value of the market that this project is going for is global accounting, notarization, cryptographic security, and immutability. So these are pretty big business markets. Prevent corruption of data streams, encrypted channels. L0 host for L1s, basically web3. This is a $400 trillion market. It's going to be big. It's going to be massive. People, crypto is going to take over the world. So it's part of that big narrative, that big model. Regarding the size of business interest in the token, I think that is a little better than a lot of projects because you have to operate state channels. And I think businesses will want to operate those state channels if they integrate into this and they validate it. Well, maybe I'll put that as a little more neutral because I think that there will be state channels that operate and integrate their business models into this. So it could be a good business. I do think that the business model is relatively well for the business side demand of the token is designed pretty well. And, the value of the services will go up. All these things are designed properly for the user experience, etc. So the model, that's the output so far. I go into more detail with my patrons. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. I try to be as unbiased as possible. And then I'll go into more detail with my patrons now. But basically, the goal of this video is just provide unbiased information so you can make your own decision. All right, later.